Title: My brother beat me and threatened to kill me. My family wants me to forgive him. The night that changed everything. Family is supposed to be your safety net. A place you return to when the world becomes too much. But that night, I learned that sometimes, the people who share your blood can become your worst nightmare. I was 25. The youngest. The only girl among my siblings. My mom and I had moved to another state years ago, hoping for a fresh start. But life has a way of pulling you back into the chaos you thought you'd escaped. We were visiting home just for a short while. Catch up with family, spend time together. My oldest brother, 31, offered to host us. He lived with his girlfriend and their 4 children, ages ranging from a baby to nearly a teenager. I thought maybe things had changed. Maybe he had changed. Growing up, he had always been the troubled one. He ran away. Fought anyone who crossed him. Poured bleach into our mom's boyfriend's drink once. But people change, right? I wanted to believe that fatherhood in time had mellowed him. The first night there, my mom went out to reconnect with old friends, leaving me alone with my brother and his girlfriend. After the kids went to bed, we poured drinks and started chatting. Light conversation, catching up. Eventually, his girlfriend asked what he was like as a kid. I hesitated for just a second before answering. I told the truth. That he was wild. Uncontrollable. That he fought a lot, got suspended almost weekly, and made life chaotic. We laughed about it, or rather, she and I laughed. He didn't. I noticed the way he looked at me. Jaw clenched. Eyes dark. But I brushed it off. We were drunk, right? Just reminiscing. Joking. That's what siblings do. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. If I just punched you right now, that wouldn't be funny, would it? I thought he was kidding. I laughed, awkwardly. Nervously. Trying to de-escalate without making it a thing. But he wasn't kidding. In the blink of an eye, his fist smashed into my face. Then again. And again. I don't even remember how many times. I just remember the pain, the panic, the fear clawing up my throat as I hit the ground and scrambled to shield myself. I grabbed whatever was in reach, a cushion, a book, maybe a remote, and flung it toward him just to get some space. I remember crawling toward the couch, bleeding, stunned, my vision blurry from tears and blood and shock. Then the kids ran in. Their terrified cries cut through the chaos. One of them was screaming for their mom. The baby, just a baby, wailed so hard I thought she would choke. And still my brother kept yelling. Furious, out of control. He picked up a cup of alcohol and flung it in my face like I was nothing. You think this is funny? You think it's all a joke? He shouted. Then he said the words that will haunt me for the rest of my life. I hope you know you're going to die tonight. The air disappeared from the room. I ran into the bathroom, slammed the door shut, locked it, and braced against it with my whole body. He was in the kitchen, opening drawers looking for a knife. I could hear it. I could hear him tearing through silverware, muttering to himself. And then, pounding on the door. Screaming. Describing in detail how he was going to stab me. Gut me. I called my mom. Hysterical. Whispering that he was going to kill me. She screamed on the phone, told me to break the window, to run if I could. I tried to open the small window in the bathroom, my hands shaking, my head spinning. Then silence. I thought maybe he'd gone. But in truth, my mom had started breaking down the front door to get to me, while he was still hunting for a weapon. He wasn't stopping. Not until someone stopped him. And that's when I knew, this wasn't just a drunken argument gone wrong. This was attempted murder. Blood doesn't mean loyalty. The hospital lights were too bright. I remember lying there, face swollen, mouth split, hands trembling. No broken bones, but bruises everywhere, ribs, back, jaw. The physical pain was real, but it was nothing compared to what was coming. They took photos. Filed a report. And I made a decision. I pressed charges against my brother. Not because I wanted revenge. But because I wanted protection. Because I knew if I didn't, he might finish what he started. At first I thought my family would support me. I wasn't a stranger. I was their daughter, their sister. They had seen the photos. Heard the story. Knew the truth. But what I got instead was silence. Deflection. Excuses. My mother tried to stay neutral. Said she didn't want to take sides. She called it a misunderstanding. Said I had provoked him. That maybe I shouldn't have brought up old wounds, like that was an excuse for what he did. She told me, you already won. He's been in jail for months. Haven't you punished him enough? I was stunned. Punishment? No. What I wanted was accountability. Mental health intervention. Some assurance that he'd never do this to me, or to anyone, again. I asked for a plea deal. Probation. Therapy. Mandatory medication. But even that was too much for them. My dad, my biological father who was never really around, chimed in. It's not like he molested your kids or killed your husband, he said. As if that's what it takes to matter. As if my trauma had to be bigger, bloodier, more dramatic to be valid. As if nearly being murdered by my brother in front of his crying children wasn't enough. Then I found out the worst part. My mother had secretly given the name of my prosecutor to my father, who emailed them pretending to be me. He told them I wanted to drop the charges. That it wasn't a big deal. That I'd changed my mind. They were going to erase my story. My pain. My voice. And if the prosecutor hadn't confirmed it with me, they might have succeeded. My heart broke in a way I never thought possible. Not because of my brother, but because of everyone who stood behind him. They were more worried about his future than the fact that I nearly lost mine. I felt like I was screaming into a void, begging them to see me, to choose me. But all they saw was him, the broken boy, the troubled man, the misunderstood son. Not the monster who beat his sister bloody in front of his children. Trial by blood. As the trial date crept closer, so did the pressure. The call started first. Then the text. Then the guilt. You're tearing the family apart. Why can't you just let it go? He's lost everything already, his girlfriend, his kids, his job. As if I was the one who ruined his life. My mother told me flat out, he's suffered enough. You're just being cruel now. No one, not a single person, asked me how I was healing. No one asked if I was sleeping through the night or if I still double-checked the locks before bed. No one asked what it was like to live with flashbacks. To flinch at loud voices. To feel unsafe in your own skin. Instead, they acted like I was holding a grudge. Like I was the problem for refusing to fold under the weight of their silence. They weren't neutral. They were loyal but not to me. And when I found out my mom had commented publicly on a social media post celebrating my brother's upcoming release, "Can't wait for you to be home soon," something inside me cracked. It wasn't just betrayal. It was erasure. My mother, the woman who gave birth to me, was openly rooting for the man who nearly killed me. She had chosen her son over her daughter. Not because he deserved it, but because it was easier to stand with the abuser than face the truth of what he did. Then, days before the trial, the prosecutor called me. My brother had changed his plea. He admitted guilt and requested time served. I wasn't allowed to testify. I didn't get to tell my story in court. I didn't get to look him in the eye and say what he did to me. I didn't get to speak my pain into the record. He stole that moment from me. Just like he stole my peace, my safety, my family. And still, I called my mom. I told her what happened. She denied giving the prosecutor's contact info to my dad. Lied to my face. And when I called her out, she turned it around on me. "You sided with the system," she snapped. "Another black man in prison, and you helped put him there. You should be ashamed." Then she hung up. That was the last conversation we had. I texted her that I still loved her. That I wished we could be close again. That I missed her. She never replied. Maybe one day she'll realize what it cost her to protect her son. But by then, I won't be waiting. Chapter 4. I survived, but I lost my family. I thought the worst part of being attacked would be the violence itself. The pain. The fear. The memory of his fists. The sound of the lock clicking as I tried to keep him out. The moment I truly believed I was going to die. But it wasn't. The worst part was realizing no one was coming for me. Not then. Not later. Not even now. I survived something that should have shattered my entire family's foundation. And instead of standing beside me, they stood around me staring at the cracks, pretending they weren't there. My brother is back in jail now, not because of me but because of the other 11 charges stacked against him. He's facing decades. And suddenly the family sees me as the one who brought shame. Not his violence. Not his rage. But my refusal to stay silent about it. My grandmother called me too. Her voice soft, almost pleading. "Don't throw him away," she said. "He's still your brother." But what does that word mean when it's soaked in blood and betrayal? What does family mean when they value peace more than justice? When they would rather protect the abuser than confront their own dysfunction? You don't get to weaponize family when it's convenient, and abandon it when it's not. I've been diagnosed with PTSD. Anxiety. I wake from nightmares where I'm back in that room, back on the floor, his fists raining down. There are days I can't go near kitchen drawers without flinching. I triple-check every door. Every window. And yet, I'm still standing. I lost my family. But I found something else. I found courage. I found the power of saying, "This happened to me and I will not be silent." I found the bravery to hold my ground even when the people who should have loved me the most turned their backs. Healing hasn't been easy. Some days I feel like a ghost in my own life. But I'm building something new now. A version of family that isn't bound by blood, but by love, trust, and mutual care. People who don't question my pain. Who don't ask me to shrink my story for someone else's comfort. If I could go back to that girl in the bathroom, shaking and crying with the phone in her hand, I'd whisper to her, "You live. You walk out of here. And one day you'll stop surviving and start living again. You'll choose yourself. And you'll never look back."